Okay, so now it's time to put the posi unit together. As you can see, I've got the rear end together. This is rear end out of my 68 Torino, for those of you who have watched my other videos, or at least this little series of what we're doing to this Torino. Transmission's already in, as I mentioned in past videos, and we got the rear end out, all cleaned up. I have a 325 ring and pinion. I'm getting rid of the 279s I had in there. And it's a brand new ring and pinion. I've already got the pinion bearing pressed onto the new pinion gear in there. Got my rotating drag set right. That has to do with the crush sleeve, or a sometimes on the crush, you don't use a crush sleeve. There is an aftermarket spacer where you have to grind like 2,000ths at a time off to get the correct preload on your bearings. And we'll cover that. We'll probably do another rear end for something some other day in some other video. I'll cover that more extensively in a different video, but for now that's already done. So on this video we're going to put our posi unit together. I bought a kit off of eBay. I'd have to look it up. If anybody wants to know where I got it, I'll just ask in the comment section, and I'll go to my eBay and put the link in when I reply to your comment. But you get 4 of the steels for your clutch posi right here. I get 4 clutches, 4 regular round clutches, and this 1 tab clutch, which is what you need. And I also got 4 new springs. This plate right here, I'll show you where that goes, and these little cups right here, and I'll show you where that goes. Got all that for $64. Not a bad price, really. And I also ordered in a separate little kit. I got a shim kit, which I probably may or may not need. I've got a bunch of shims hanging on the wall. You can see them above the truck there, hanging on the wall. Also had the original shim out of this, which we got to figure out which shim to put in it. And that might be in the next video. This video will probably be posi unit only. And I also got a gasket and a seal. And a new O-ring, which is right here. I'm not going to put that on until I have my pinion disc set on the rear end, because it's easier to take this in and out if I don't have the correct shim. And also got some gear marking compound. So first thing we need to do is get the camera on the tripod, and I'll show you how this posi unit goes together. Alright, first of all, this posi unit was put together wrong. And 2 things I found that were wrong. These are shims. This is a shim kit I also ordered. I didn't show you. The thickest one is 15,000ths of an inch. And these all seem to be 10 or 11,000. I think all of these are the same. Well, that one's 12, 10, 10, and 10. Okay, we got 3 10s and a 12 and a 15. I'm going to put the 15 in. Now this, when I took this apart, it didn't have that shim in it. And also, this, not this one. Ah, yes, it did have a shim in it. There it is, it's stuck to it. And it's actually a 15. You know, this thing's been apart for over a week. And that's where that shim went. But this is what was wrong with it. Even though the shim was down there where it's supposed to be, the clips have to go in there first. This right here was down at the bottom, and it's not supposed to be. You're supposed to have a shim, one of these steels, and a clutch on top of it, and then you stack them in that order. And this is supposed to go at the top, and it wasn't. And if you look at this steel right here, you can see a deep groove right there. Now the posi unit worked. It's been in the car for a very long time. If I remember right, it was in my 64 Fairlane way back in the day when it was a street car. So anyway, let's find this old dirty shim again and double check that thickness on it. Figure out where I put it. Put it right in there. Just did it too. Now it's a 15. So I'm just going to hang it up here. I'm going to put the new 15 in. Not that it's really any better, but it's right here. So that's going to go there. And first thing I need to do, I'm going to go ahead and get my springs and all my clips and everything right here. Whoops. Get everything ready here. And we put our clips in first. They go just like that. Still got a little bit of grease down in that corner, even though I thought I cleaned this all really good. Get that out of there. These clips are supposed to fit in there. And they don't act like they're wanting to go. These are the new ones. The used ones are right here. So maybe that kit I bought isn't all that I bragged about it to be. There's the old used ones. I probably will use the used ones because these don't want to fit right. Maybe they're supposed to fit in there tight. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, there it goes. They fit in there. They fit in there really, really snug, but they do fit. So, okay, we'll use them. Kind of had me worried there. Not really worried because I can always use my old ones. It's not like these wear, but they do fit in there really tight, which is probably the way they're supposed to be. They're kind of sprung. There we go. That fits in there pretty good. Trying to keep this in view of the camera. There's a spring. But we do want to make sure they go down in there flat. Don't want them to be crooked. We'll see how these work out when I get the rest of them. See, let's do a comparison of an old one versus a new one here. Old one. Sit right here. So, yeah. They're just spread out a little more right there. Maybe that's the way the original ones were when they were new. But the good thing is, let's see if, I bet they won't fall out when you flip it upside. That one will. That's what I was thinking. Anyway, let's go ahead and put my shim in. I don't have to really lube that shim up. And we will start with a steel. And I've soaked these in a gear oil. I believe it's, what is it? I got some Mobil 1 synthetic 75 140. And it also has the friction modifier in it. But don't depend on just that when you putting a new posi unit together, or just putting one in your car that's already put together. Make sure you buy a bottle of friction modifier for these Fords. You can get it through Ford. This is a Spicer brand. That's something I forgot to add. This actually came with the kit for my clutch kit for this posi unit for $64 free shipping. Thought that was a pretty good deal. So now we got to put a clutch in. Make sure that's all going down in there like that. Then steel. Yeah, I guess a good thing about those new tabs is they kind of hold everything tighter in there, so I can flip it upside down and I'll go to put it all together and Hopefully they'll stay in there. It can be awkward sometimes. So much I know. Okay, and then you got a clutch on top of all that last clutch. Now this piece here, which was at the bottom and is not the correct way to do it, goes up top. Just like that. And now, what I'm going to do is, let's see, I can't remember if this goes here or if it goes right there. I gotta look that up because I can't remember. Okay, so I had to look it up. This is called the inner plate carrier washer, and it does go right there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get some grease so that it will hopefully stay in place. Doesn't hurt to use a little bit of bearing grease. I try to avoid getting it on the clutches though. Now if I can find my bearing grease. So I'm going to take a little bit of bearing grease, put it right here. Not only is that for good lubrication before the gear oil gets kind of soaked into everything after it gets rolling down the road, but it also sticks it to that so that it hopefully doesn't fall off on me. And you just want to work this until you're in all of your spline, because I think that I already am. Yeah, I think it's all the way in. You want to make sure it is, because, yeah, you are. I am. Because if you don't, when you squeeze it together, you could bend some stuff and mess it up. Now, can you see that? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So I'm going to take some grease, put it on these springs. Probably don't hurt to put a little bit of grease on these gears, too. Got my new plate right here. Put a bunch of grease on it so it will hopefully stick into place. It goes on only one way. It won't let you put it on this way. It's got to go that way so it can fit down in between those spider gears. And I'm just going to kind of glue it in with grease so that it will hopefully stay where I want it. So now, I'm going to go ahead and grease back side of this up. A little grease on that. Believe me, it'll be on jack stands going slow to get all this worked in. So if you think it's too dry, it's not going to hurt anything. And I've already deburred these surfaces in here, made sure nothing's sticking up through there. You got to watch these roll pins right here. They hold the pins that go in this way, which holds your spider gears in place, make sure they are not above that surface. The last one I did, if you remember my last video, remember the cold start video where I told you I rebuilt a posi unit for another guy? He said his posi worked, but it did make noise going around corners, and even though he put the friction modifier in there, it still made noise. Come find out his pins were sticking above that surface. I don't even know how it worked without breaking, because I just don't see how that went together flat. But it didn't tear anything up, and we got him together now. Now I got a threaded hole there and there. Here's my screw holes right here. Just like that. So, we kind of get them eyeballed up. What I'm going to do is, as you can see, when that goes all together, it's those springs and clutches. I'm going to make that go together tight. And what I do is, find my screws. And before we tighten these screws down, we're just going to get them both started. And what I'm going to do is, you can either do this in a vise. If you don't have a hydraulic press, you can do it in a vise. I've got a little hydraulic press, and that's what I'm going to do. You want to put it in your press or your vise and press this together flat and then tighten your screws. Makes it a lot easier. I used to do it the hard way. And I would tighten these as tight as I could, and then I'd put the ring gear on and all the bolts would draw it together. But this is a lot easier. Just a little something I read here recently too. So we got this block up in there, and what I'm going to do is, don't want to go too crazy with the press, but we just squeeze it together flat. Don't go too crazy, you don't want to break anything. You just want to compress all them clutches and springs down tight. And then you tighten your little Phillips head screws up. They don't have to be super duper tight, so don't try to go so crazy on them that you mess up the Phillips head slots in there, because they can't go, even if they were to come loose after it's all together, they can't go anywhere because the ring gear is going to be bolted on this surface. But you just want to snug these down so it'll stay together flat for you. I've taken plenty of them apart that were loose underneath that ring gear. And that is together. Now we got to bolt the ring gear on it. Alright, got my ring gear, my 325 ring gear, brand new. I'll lay it right here. Hopefully this will work out. And what you want to do, now some of these slide right on, some of them don't. So before you go to beating it down all the way, tapping it down on there, you want to get all your bolts started. I hardly ever use Loctite. They do recommend it on these. I've done it plenty of times without Loctite, had no trouble. But since this is a video, we'll put on a show and make it look good so that those proper procedure police won't be too hard on me. I got a feeling they will be anyway. Don't care. If they get too nasty, I'll block and delete them. If they're just trying to help, I will politely leave it up but not respond. And stick my screwdriver in there and move it over just a little bit. I'll use up this little bitty tube. I have to find my 12 point, because even though this is a 6-point bolt, my 6-point socket is too heavy to go down in there. You're not supposed to use the impact on 12-point sockets, at least those thin ones like I've got. So I won't that we have all our boats started, we can draw it down. Let's pick like 4 of them opposite of each other. Try to draw it down even. Over here, okay? One of the easier ways to get these tight, do it just like that right there. Okay, that needs to go. I think you can do it this way. Maybe. Maybe not. There it goes. Now, that lines all of that up. So, now we want to torque these. See how that holds? Once you get all that locked in there together, that keeps those clutches from slipping so easy. I'm not 100% sure how that works. I just know that's when you know your clutches are really grabbing. There we go. I moved it a little bit. Yeah, when you got something in there lining up those splines, and that spline is locked into the spline of the spider gear and the hub, you can really feel the drag of them clutches. They got to drag some because you don't want your tires to chatter when you turn corners. Which is why most street cars prefer a clutch posi over a solid spool, or even a Detroit locker. I had a Detroit locker in a 4-wheel drive truck, and the chatter around corners wasn't too bad. What I didn't like is it wasn't good for an automatic because there's a lot of play in the yoke when you went from forward to reverse. And really hard on the U-joints when you put it in gear, put it in drive after backing up. So let's see, we need to torque these down to, I'm going to go with 75 or 65 foot-pounds. Got to look for my torque wrench now. Okay, so that is the assembly of the posi unit. Actually, oh, I'm spinning the axle in there, so the clutches are good and tight. But we used the same shim that was originally in it. Same thickness, just a new one. We got new clutches, new springs, new tab. So, should be good. And it's assembled correctly this time. I can't believe he gave me no trouble all those years and it wasn't assembled right. So in the next video, we're going to get the rest of the rear end together and set the pinion depth. Grab the camera here. Set the pinion depth. I have a homemade depth checking tool, and we're going to set it that away by going with the recommended depth right here, 1 inch 17 thousandths, which I think is from this surface, and I know it's to the center of the ring gear. I have a homemade tool, and I'll show you that in that video. And we'll just do the assembly, and we'll show you how to check that depth. And I'll also check it with the gear marking compound, which is in this little tube right here. So, thanks for watching.